Well, joining us now is McLaren Racing's Limited Director of Licensing, E-commerce and Esports, Lindsey Eckhouse, alongside Crowded Media's group, Andrew Dix, to chat McLaren Racing Limited and the newest NFT release.
Hello. Hi, my name is Andrew Dix. I am the founder of the Crowded Media Group. We're the publisher of Crowdfund Insider. And we are here today to talk about NFTs and the fan experience. And we have a truly incredible representative for NFTs here today. It's McLaren Auto Racing. And McLaren is, of course, an iconic British brand. They are legendary in the racing world, won over 180 Grand Prix. They've been around for, decades, since 1963. And now they're getting into NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So we have here today a person who is leading that charge, Lindsey Eckhouse. She's the Director of Licensing, E-commerce, and Esports for McLaren. So, Lindsey, I'm going to ask you briefly, what exactly does that mean, that big title? Tell me about that.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Nice to meet everyone. Really, really excited to be here. I probably should have put McLaren Racing in my title on the bottom, so apologies for that. But so ultimately, I'm responsible for both our licensing business and our esports and gaming business. On the licensing side, that means consumer products like merchandise, and then content licensing like NFTs or audio or video content and distribution partnerships. And then on the esports and gaming side, it's everything that McLaren Racing as a sports team is looking to do, both in casual gaming and in esports, which covers a myriad of areas.
Awesome. So I think what you're doing is really, really cool. I'm a little bit jealous because I'm a secret admirer of race car drivers and very fast vehicles. So I'm really curious how did you get into this? I mean, this sounds to be like just an awesome experience and a great leadership role for you. What's your background here?
Yeah, I do love the role. So I do feel very privileged to be here, if I'm honest. So I started my career in management consulting, did a short stint there and realized it wasn't for me. Wanted to pivot into sport and entertainment. And Andrew and I were speaking earlier, and I went to a graduate program very focused on sport and entertainment marketing. And from there went to IMG, which is a sports consultancy and entertainment consultancy business. Then to the NFL for 7 years, then to an esports team out of Berlin called G2 Esports. Andrew, your dog wants to join the show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my intern. I'm sorry.
And then following a year or 2.5 years at G2, joined McLaren Racing. So I've been with the business for about 6 months now.
Awesome. So sorry about the dog. She's a killer. You can hear that. So McLaren. So I think of McLaren. I think of McLaren Racing. I think of Formula One. I think of really fast, hot, sexy cars. I didn't think about NFTs when I was first thinking about McLaren. How did McLaren Racing decide to get into the NFT space? What's the genesis of this decision?
Yeah. I mean, when I joined the business, as I say, 6 months ago, NFTs were the hot topic, right? NBA had done a brilliant job with Top Shots. I think all rights holders or teams or leagues in sports were looking at that and thinking, what an interesting way to engage your fans. So joining this business, we very much look at how do we engage our fans? What unique aspects can we use to engage our fans? And really, how do we put them at the center of sort of everything we do? And NFTs was really the next evolution of that. And so when we started thinking of how do we build that strategy out, we started talking to a few partners in the blockchain space to understand who could help us really prop this up and deliver this program that was authentic to us. So we're obviously a racing business. Formula One is really our hero series. We also compete in esports, as I mentioned, IndyCar as well. And we're entering into a series called Extreme E, which is a fully electric, sustainable series that goes around the world. And sustainability is actually something that really sits at our core and is something we're hugely focused on. So as we looked out into the blockchain space, Tezos became a really clear leader for us to start working with, and we engaged them. They've been amazing partners from a technical standpoint to help us really prop up the program and get it live. And we have launched, I want to say it's 2.5 weeks ago, and are doing really well. 2 of our waves out of 3 that have been released have sold out. So we're seeing a lot of fan engagement and excitement with the assets that we're releasing.
Okay, so I'm going to jump back to the esports thing in a second, because I think there's an interesting angle there, and I know you're an expert on esports as well. But going back to Tezos for a second, you don't have to do a deep dive in this, but I think it was very interesting that you selected Tezos, and we just had this cool presentation just a minute ago that kind of highlighted some of the points of using Tezos. Now, how many different blockchains did you review before you decided Tezos was the one? And then what was the biggest justification for that?
Yeah, we talked to a few different potential partners in the space. Tezos really came out as the most interesting one for us because of their focus on sustainability, and for a lot of the reasons that everyone here just heard. I'm not a technical expert by any stretch of the imagination, so let me be very clear on that. But when we spoke to the team at Tezos, to their board, to Arthur, we were the council, we were really impressed with their approach and how they were in this for the long haul. And that was ultimately why we decided they were the right partner, and we got to a place where we could work with them.
Awesome. That's really interesting. So you mentioned a little bit about where you stand. You have McLaren Racing Collective.com, right? That's the site. I actually went to it the other day, and I got a part for free. I got a tire. How is this program evolving? As I understand it, you can go there and you can buy and put together a McLaren race car. So where does that stand right now?
Yeah, so the overall concept for us to launch was, what is our most precious asset as a racing team? And actually, that's our car. So there's a ton of intellectual property and proprietary CAD information that goes into the creation of our Formula One race car. It's called the MCL35M, a little bit of a mouthful. So we decided, let's hero that car and figure out a way to make that the centerpiece of our program, because it's what our avid fans who we wanted to engage through NFTs, it's really what they care about. It's one of the main reasons, petrol heads are obsessed with the sport. So the thinking was, we can do a takedown of the official CAD. So we're not releasing anything that is too proprietary, right? We don't want another team stealing some of our secrets off of these assets, but still took the official CAD from the race team and essentially exploded the car into 22 different components. And the thinking here is, we would release each of these components in a series of waves. There'll be 5 waves in totality for this first drop. And the experience for our fans is, come in, you get your first component for free. And after that, you purchase to engage, and you win different items as you collect numerous parts of the car. So there's utility in these assets beyond the fact that we've never released anything that lets you look underneath, around, and at each component of the car in as much detail as you can here. So the thinking was, really celebrate that MCL35M, let our fans see each of these components up close and personal, and give them a pretty cool experience where they can work to collect, trade, or purchase their way into some amazing prizes.
So you're using the actual CAD files. Those are pretty enormous, right?
Yeah, I mean, the CAD files are mega, as they say in racing. We did, as I say, strip away some of the proprietary information, or the proprietary information that's included there, but it's the official F1 CAD issued by our technical team. So each of these parts are actually built to spec, which I think is super unique and nothing that we've ever released before.
So you don't get any of the top secret stuff,
No.
the secret sauce that makes you win, but you get the actual CAD, and then you own it, right?
You own it. Yep. You own the component. Exactly. And with that component, it's a piece of the car. If you collect or purchase 10, you get signed merchandise. And if you're the first to actually create the full car, you get a VIP paddock club, which is our VIP hospitality experience in 2022. So in next season. So it's an exciting, let's call it collector's game. And it's so far proven to be successful with our fans.
Okay, so I was a little bit disappointed because I went to your website and I got my first part for free, but then I had to, buy all these other parts that were available, or at one point they were available, and they were all sold out. So I couldn't, build my car, which is unfortunate. But then the other parts you have to pay. I think it was like around $14.99 a pop or something like this. So over the long run, is this fan engagement plus revenue generator? How does that whole model, blend together, over the long run?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. The truth is, we're still very much learning as we go here. Tezos have been great at shepherding us into the space, and now as we're starting to drop digital collectibles and assets, we're really trying to figure out how does this work for us long term. The first objective is fan engagement and really engaging in it with our fan base in a unique experience that they can't find anywhere else. So that's first and foremost, and we want to keep that very true to the overall experience. Down the line, if that means a new revenue stream, a new vertical, brilliant. But that's not the main objective right now. But as I say, it's early days, early doors. So still learning as we continue down the journey.
So were these first parts where they bought out like immediately? It's like boom, they were gone. I'm assuming it was maybe days or hours. How long did it take for each part to go?
So the first wave that we released, we very deliberately emailed everyone that had signed up for the free asset in waves, so we didn't overwhelm the site, because I think it could have probably sold out faster, but all of the assets sold out in about 9 hours. Okay. And then interestingly, some of the components that are a little bit more ornate or intricate, like our steering wheel, like the chair or the seat, they've sold out in less than an hour, so minutes. So it's, we're not minting a million of these. So we're keeping it limited very deliberately, again, because you can take these assets outside of our experience into the Tezos ecosystem and start trading them in other marketplaces.
Yeah, and if you're a car person, you're going to get this, because if you're not a car person, you're like, what are we talking about? But if you're a car person, things like this, the seat, the steering wheel, the wheels, everything is just, it's vital. Really?
Yeah.
So I guess your target market, it could be somebody like me who likes to drive too fast, and I like fast cars. What's kind of the demographic of your target market? Are these, all guys? Are they the big mix? Is it old, young? What is your target market here? I would assume that kind of, because you're in the NFT space, you're doing blockchain. This is a little bit more technical for somebody that may be on the older side. I mean,
yeah, we very deliberately created the marketplace to ultimately be really seamless and look like just a regular, I guess, e-commerce store. So tried to hide some of the scariness of crypto and blockchain, because our target here is our avid fan. I feel a little bit ashamed saying that in a blockchain summit, but it's the truth. We know that our avid fans are maybe not as comfortable with the subject matter as everyone here would like them to be, and it's still an education process for them. So the thinking is go out to the avids, get them engaged in the experience and comfortable in the experience before introducing more elements of crypto and blockchain to them. But our avid fan base is probably also not what you'd expect. I think Formula One fans are actually younger than many people realize, particularly with what Netflix has done with Drive to Survive. The sport's really exploded with a younger audience, and we're about 40% female, 60% male. So you see a really wide, I guess, breadth of people coming into the experience. Most interesting, we've looked at the stats, over 50% of the buyers are under the age of 34 in terms of the NFT marketplace that we have live. So we're certainly seeing that younger avid fan engage here, unsurprising, but still seeing, some of our older avid fans really test it out and see what it's all about.
Are you getting lots of questions from your older friends that they're saying, what are you talking about? I have no idea what a non-fungible token is. Are you getting some of that? Is there an education gap here?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of communication we've put out there along with our partners around what are NFTs, why are they special, what makes Tezos unique and how is it sustainable? So we're answering all those questions as proactively as possible. We've launched a Discord server to really support this and encourage a dialogue with the community of people that are engaging in this collective. So we're trying to get the message out there as best as possible to explain these are amazing, unique digital collectibles. The fact that they're built on blockchain only means that they're more authentic, right? And you can actually see how authentic they are. And those types of things we're still trying to explain to the audience. I'd call it a form of edutainment, which is a term we talk about internally, but.
Okay, so I get the car. I'm lucky enough to put all the pieces together and I have a car. I own that car. Now, can I sell that car? Is this something that I can, buy, sell, and trade? Because if you're a car person, you have a big garage and you have 20 or 30 cars in there, and then every now and then you sell or you buy one. Is that something that you're doing now, going to be doing, or at some point in the future you plan to do?
Yeah, we are. I mean, once you collect it's 22 components, you get issued the new NFT, which is the full MCL 35M car. You still have the individual components. They don't burn away, but we will lock them so you can't trade them and help more people, win the sort of VIP experience that you get when creating the actual car. In future, you will be able to trade this, sell this, interact with this and see the value in it in both the marketplace we currently have, but also, as I say, by just exporting it into the Tezos ecosystem and working on one of their other marketplaces. So there's a lot of value in this full car, and there's only going to be a limited amount that are able to be created in totality.
What about mods and enhancements? I mean, that's a thing too.
Yep. So future drops, we will be creating enhancements. So interesting to note, if you're a Formula One fan, our car that we've released to date is the initial car we started the 2021 season with. The enhancements, which will be our second drop, will take that car to the Monza winning car that Daniel Ricciardo was driving when he actually got first place in Italy earlier this year. And then the last drop will be something that's very exciting and also continues to allow us to hero the car. And that'll be our last drop for the year. But, we're thinking of how do we hero the car? How do we continue to build this momentum around the car? And then in 2022, no telling what we'll end up doing. I think there's a lot of opportunity to get super creative and bring a lot of different types of collectibles and assets to our audience.
Yeah. So you have 60 years plus of racing heritage. You have this whole catalog or portfolio of amazing vehicles. Is that kind of part of the roadmap where you're going to go back and some of these legacy collectible cars are going to become legacy digital collectible cars?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's a million ideas that we're currently trying to just drill down in. But as you say, in 2023, we'll be 60 actually. So we're almost 60, but it is this incredible, right, history of racing, winning. We're one of the only teams to have won what's called the Triple Crown, which means the Indy 500, Le Mans, and Formula One in the same year. There's a lot that we can do with that almost 60-year history. And now it's about how do we ensure that we create different assets that excite our audience, but have utility? And then how do we incorporate more of this gaming angle? I love the concept of collectible games or actually racing the car against another car or creating an actual game for these NFTs. And I think hopefully that's something we look at in the future, but all TBD, as I say, early doors. So we're still trying to define all of that and learn as much as we can in this first few months.
Okay. So what about the metaverse? Since we're already kind of like talking a little bit about gaming, that absolutely makes sense. But tell me about your thoughts on the metaverse. It's a hot topic right now. Zuckerberg is already, trying to migrate Facebook to Meta. It's all the rage. You guys have got to be thinking about Meta when it comes to McLaren cars.
Absolutely. I mean, we would be remiss not to, right? The thinking here is, so I sit on the racing side of the business. We have a whole other team that actually sit on the automotive side of the business and manage sort of the production and selling of all of the supercars and street cars that go out there. And a metaverse opportunity brings our worlds together. And I mean, that to us is super exciting. So the strategy is in process. What that means for where McLaren Racing Collective goes, I think is only more exciting and more engagement. So the opportunities, right, as you all know, are endless. What we will do there, to be determined. I think we're close to a couple of really interesting concepts and starting to test a couple things, but that'll all be in the future and you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so you're big in esports, and you have kind of like an esport vertical. Are these the same cars that are going to be used for esports? I mean, how does that mesh? How do these these NFTs mesh? Can I buy an NFT and then use it in Grand Theft Auto and like go crazy with it? I mean, is that an option too?
That is not an option within the McLaren world yet, but potentially, right, could be. So our esports team compete in F1 esports and a couple other sim racing focused series. We are expanding into some new games going into next year that aren't as sim racing focused, that allow us to, Andrew, do things like you just mentioned, connect these worlds together a little bit more. And I think that's the sweet spot for us. If we can start bringing our esports and gaming audience into the more avid F1 audience, that crossover is really interesting, and it creates more engagement with the fan and more opportunities for them to consume McLaren Racing. So that's a space that we love to play in.
Yeah, so you're just getting started right now. It's really cool. It sounds like things are going really well initially. 12 months from now, where do you anticipate your entire NFT project will be? I mean, you have like your first kind of iteration out the gate that went well. People were interested in it. You have a lot of demand. What are your expectations a year from now?
I think it's too early to tell, right? Some of this technology is still emerging, and there's not much. I can't see into the future to understand what we will know by then or won't know by then, right? But I think we are in an interesting position, or trying to set ourselves up to take advantage of new tech and new opportunities as they emerge. So we very much, in partnership with Tezos, are able to look at these and lean into them. So whatever that means, I think as we look towards releasing more assets, that'll probably start to get us closer to a metaverse strategy, and we'll try to come together with our partners in automotive, try to come together with some of our other initiatives like esports, like simulated racing. And I think all of those have a really interesting place to play together, but I couldn't tell you if that's a year away. It might be a little longer, it might be less, you never know.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because the NFTs they've been around for quite some time. It really hit the headlines when you had some really big purchases in the art world. And from my point of view, racing cars are art too. How big do you think this can become? I mean, do you foresee a future where people are going to be bidding up these vehicles? Is that a possibility? Is it a probability or a dream, or you just don't know right now?
For that, I really don't know enough. I think for us on the racing side, the more important angle to this is almost low price, high volume assets, because we want to be able to engage as many fans as possible. And we're already seen as, I guess, more of a premium luxury brand, right? But on the racing side, we want to be accessible as well. So I don't want to price people out necessarily. And therefore, we're trying to do what we can to embrace really as many people into this experience. So I actually equate it to microtransactions inside video games, right? If you can engage more people across these smaller transactions, but at a higher volume, you give them more opportunities to care, to engage, to be part of it. And that to me is the angle that we're really trying to bring forward and embrace.
This is all really, really cool. I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited for McLaren. I think our time is about up. Do you have any passing words or words of wisdom you want to share with us, Lindsey?
No, I just think there's such amazing knowledge coming out of this summit. I feel very honored to have been invited to join you, Andrew, and have this discussion. And check out McLaren Racing Collective and let me know what you think. Feel free to get in touch. Would love the feedback.
Absolutely. So check out McLarenRacingCollective.com. You can learn about everything there. And thank you to everybody at the LA Blockchain Summit. You guys rock.